PulStar Musculoskeletal Innovations revolutionizes the treatment of chiropractic conditions. In the hands of a skilled chiropractor, the PulStar essentially eliminates the cracking, popping, and twisting that's often associated with chiropractic treatments. Chiropractic patients already know that chiropractic can improve their lives and their health, but now it's even more gentle, easier, and faster than ever before.
The patient experience in a PulStar office is unique. The patient is given the ability to have chiropractic care in a manner that takes all the fear away. You know, chiropractic is inherently a safe form of treatment. However, patients have a sense of fear sometimes about the twisting, the turning, the popping. The wonderful thing is a person who has some fear, some trepidation about that loses that fear immediately upon learning how we take care of them with a PulStar.
When a patient comes in for their first visit, the chiropractor will do what's called an analysis of the motion of their spine with the PulStar.
As we know, the human spine functions as a cohesive unit. So what occurs at the sacrum influences all the way up through the thoracic spine, into the C-spine, into the cervical spine. So it really makes a lot of sense that the PulStar instrument allows us to visualize all the regions of the spine at the same time after a full spine analysis.
Patients are often incredibly impressed with the feature on the PulStar instrument that every time it impulses into their spine during an adjustment, it actually rereads how well the vertebrae is moving. Built into the sensor is the technology to actually shut it down at that perfect timing so that we don't overstimulate or understimulate the vertebrae, so we can get the best treatment for the patient every single visit.
One of the parts of using a technology like the PulStar is that you have the ability to manage the amount of impulse energy, the amount of force that a patient perceives in each region of their spine. Unique to the PulStar is the ability for those forces to be preset so that you're not winding up with a small osteoporotic elderly patient getting a 35-pound impulse in their neck. It's something that, again, very gentle forces, the ability to manage that force load, and it's all preset in the instrument, so you don't have to think twice about it when you treat a patient. The PulStar device allows for patient data to be captured from visit to visit so that you never worry about having to know whether or not the scan from the last visit was wholly different from the one that you're looking at right now. So the patient swipes their card, the scan data from the previous visit shows up, and you can then contrast that with what you've seen after treatment in the next visit interface.
One of the things that's difficult about being a chiropractor is making sure that the patients really understand what's going on with them. Built into the PulStar system is this feature where we can actually print out their reports. We can print out their pre-scan and also their post-scan. So not only are they seeing it in the office, but if there's somebody at home that they want to explain it to, maybe a spouse or a family member, or even maybe someone that they know who's suffering with a similar type of condition, it's so much easier for the patient to explain it when they can actually see this and bring it home. There's so many different features of the PulStar that patients really enjoy. The gentle adjustment procedure with the multiple impulses, the visual effects where they can see their befores and their afters, and the comfort and the efficiency and the improvement that they always see with the treatment is something that they love.
Sense Technology is constantly innovating and updating our PulStar G3 technology. And what that enables us to do is have features that really are unavailable anywhere else in the field. And we really try to stay ahead of the field in every possible way, shape, and form that we can.
The overarching value of the PulStar instrument is the technology behind the instrument. It does so much more than just percuss, than just oscillate, than just mechanically adjust a spine. When doing the analysis with the PulStar instrument, of course, you've got different patients sitting in the chair in front of you and different needs. A patient who is a very, very strong muscular 23-year-old versus an 85-year-old woman with really poor bone density and no muscle mass at all, or a patient that has a very acute fibromyalgia condition, all of them present different challenges to the clinician when doing an analysis. The PulStar instrument gives me the ability to modify the amount of preload when doing the analysis so that I'm never creating a patient twitch response, pain response, as I simply try to gain data about their spinal joint function. One of the unique features of the PulStar instrument is the ability for me to have total control over the operation of the instrument from the adjusting head itself. I don't have to take my focus off the patient's spine. I don't have to take my focus off the level of the spine that I'm working with. I can simply, by using the thumb control button, move and cycle from screen to screen, from setting to setting within the software, all while taking care of that patient. The myofascial setting of the PulStar allows me to have a control over the instrument merely by applying more pressure, causing the head to range between 30 and 50 cycles per second, going deeply and superficially into the muscle belly. One of the unique features of the PulStar instrument is the ability to control the output. Point is one of the settings, and it allows for a range of frequencies, a range of oscillation speeds between 4 hertz, 4 taps per second, ranging up to 90 hertz, 90 cycles per second, and then back down to 4. So no matter what the tissue needs beneath the probe tip, at some point along that sweeping range of frequencies, you are hitting right on the resonance frequency most appropriate for that soft tissue. Perhaps the most impressive setting of the PulStar instrument is the osseous setting. The wonderful thing about the osseous setting is that the instrument is sensing joint function beneath the probe tip as it's adjusting, and it will appropriately change the frequency of the settings of the instrument's percussion rate and then automatically shut off once it senses motion has begun. There's never a danger of the instrument over-adjusting the patient.
In soft tissue applications, there's a hierarchy of application. You can use an instrument, a specialized head, to strip it along the length of the muscle, along with the muscle fibers. If you encounter resistance along that point, you probably have a contracture, and then you can do cross fiber work to release that contracture. And if you have specific tender points that have been called various names, motor points, acupuncture points, trigger points, they all tend to correspond to the same spot, just depending. You can use the single probe on those points. And the beauty of it is, using the point mode, it sweeps through frequencies from 2 per second up to 90 per second and back down. And so while you're doing this kind of work that has been done by different cultures over the years, you know, the Chinese call it gua sha, there are different ways of doing it. The frequency and the vibration actually enhances the effect of the instrument application. It helps relax the muscle. It helps. I think of trigger points, for example, as sort of stealth satellite problems that were initially caused by a problem in the spinal column, a subluxation, but they set up an independent source of irritation. And if you don't take care of that, they can cause the spinal problems to recur. And so it's good to do those in combination.
What's really fantastic about PulStar technology is that it isn't so new and innovative that it can't be integrated into any practice. We're merely extending the idea of chiropractic from your hands into the instrumentation. You still control everything, you're still hands-on, but we take it to a new level. It's similar to a surgeon using a regular scalpel and then using a laser to make their cut. It's going to be more precise, they're going to have better control over things, and it's exactly what we do to aid chiropractors in their practice. With the PulStar system, we are continuously trying to update and add new features to both the hardware and the software. The latest PulStar G3 works with a USB interface, and what's nice about that is we're able to actually update the brains in the box with firmware updates every year, and also software updates as well. Now, if you like the features that you have now and you don't have any opinion or really need some of the features that we come up with in the future, that's okay. You can continue to use your PulStar as is, and it won't shut down after a year or anything like that. You can use it until its lifetime has expired, basically. But we do offer yearly updates in the software, which we try to not only fix any bugs that we found throughout the year, but also add new features. So if 3 years down the line you decide, hey, I see this feature that you guys have introduced, I really love it, as long as your hardware can support it, then you can actually just purchase that update at that time and get the latest features in your office right away. So some of the more recent, most important features that we've added to the system are things like multiple impulse analysis. So instead of just one impulse at each segment, we can do up to 5 impulses at each area and then average that information and report it back to the doctor. Some of the other things that we've done is change the display so that we can really see exactly where the problem exists, with red bars for the segmental dysfunction, or with yellow bars that indicate that there may be some sort of muscle interference in that area. Then on the adjusting side, we've added many things similar to the point mode, so we can go up to 90 impulses per second, which is fantastic for trigger points. We've added a newer myofascial mode that allows you to treat anywhere from 30 to 50 impulses per second to work with those larger muscle groups and extremities. We have the auto rate feature that we've had for a very long time, and what that does is actually change the rate based on what's happening during the adjustment. So as we break up the fixation and there's more motion, the system will automatically slow down, and once that motion is stabilized at that basically a better motion area, then we'll automatically shut off as well, so we don't overtreat. These are just some of the features that we've added most recently, but there are a lot more that have been in the system for quite some time.
One of the things that's really great for the chiropractor when they're using the PulStar instrument is the flexibility that it gives us. Some patients, their pain is worse when they're sitting. Some people, it's worse when they're standing. Some people, it's worse when they're lying down. With the PulStar instrument, we can treat people in those different positions. Some people can't lie down on a table when they're flared up. Some people can't stand up, and some people can't sit. So it allows us to treat them in different positions, not only for effectiveness, but also to make the patient feel more comfortable during the treatment.
When doing instrument adjusting, especially in a spine at the upper cervical region when you're so close to the patient's ears, it's also important that we take into consideration that noise can matter. A patient's ability to be comfortable while getting adjusted can matter a lot. The PulStar instrument puts out no more than 60 decibels, which is roughly the range of conversational speech. Other technologies are much, much louder, and when you're a clinician in an office setting and always listening to an instrument percussing during a day's work, this can be of concern as well. Perhaps an important feature for multiple doctor practices is that no matter whose hand is on the instrument, the response of this instrument is the same. So from me scanning from visit to visit, or having another doctor in the office, another set of hands on the instrument, the data file, the information that we know that we generate is the same from visit to visit within my ability to take care of a patient, and also with an associate doctor in the office taking care of that very same patient. There's never a sense by the patient that something is different, nor from the instrument's perspective of measuring that there's something different going on. So the intra and inter-examiner reliability has been shown to be exceedingly high. We all know that chiropractic is inherently safe. Of course, you know this by how much you pay for your premiums for professional liability insurance. That being said, the nature of chiropractic is a hands-on procedure in most cases. There is that potential for the perceived liability to exist. The PulStar instrument takes all that off the table in many cases because there is no twisting, there is no turning, there is no popping, there is straight planar motion, there is measurable, accessible data as far as how much force was used. So in a circumstance where that might come into play, protecting you from a potential issue, you've got that data file available to you at all times so that it's a known quantity of force that can be referenced at a future date if necessary.
And if your records are ever requested, all the information on where you adjusted the patient, how you adjusted them, and how firm and how much pounds of pressure you put on them are in the PulStar records. That way, for example, let's say someone you're treating for a low back says that you damaged their neck. Well, if it's in the records that you've never treated their neck because it's not in the PulStar records, it didn't happen. As a clinician, you know there's really two aspects of care with a patient. One is pain relief, and the other is really stabilizing their problem. One of the features on the PulStar is you can actually show the patient when they're completely stable. That helps increase compliance so that they follow through on their treatment plans and get the best possible results.
The PulStar instrument is excellent at analyzing and adjusting the spine, but it can also be used beyond the spine. It's a very versatile instrument. It's as versatile as your hands, but has different attributes, different speeds, it's just consistent. So it's really very useful in terms of soft tissue work we've found.
The PulStar is so unique in that it can actually treat multiple conditions. So not just spinal or musculoskeletal conditions that are associated with low back pain, but also problems with the neck that can be associated with headaches, problems with extremities like the shoulders, knees, hips, and we can even adjust while the patient's in motion. So we can move those extremities, treat the areas in motion, and really resolve those different issues that you might not always think about when you think of a chiropractic adjustment.
The challenge of spinal joint function is that when we're considering the concept of subluxation or the concept of joint dysfunction, every joint of our spine, every joint of our body for that matter, should have a range of motion that it allows for, and it's an appropriate range of motion. As tissue becomes disrupted, you can either have fibrosis, tissue that's becoming fixated or locking, and you'll have areas that are adjacent to that that become hypermobile in response to the lack of motion of the fixation. The PulStar instrument graphically gives me very, very clear evidence of where those areas of fixation are and also where the areas of hypermobility are, so that I can avoid mobilizing something that's already moving too much, potentially creating more of a pain response in the patient, and focus all the attention on the area of fixation much more specifically than I could ever do with my hands.
We have in our written protocols, which is level 4, specific applications for specific problems, whether it's a shoulder problem, elbow problem, hip problem, knee problems, sciatic pain, any of those kind of carpal tunnel, and we have the points drawn and mapped out for you, and so it's easy to just refer to it and do it. And it really provides the general principle so that the doctor, if he is so motivated, can actually just turn to his anatomy books, find the motor points, find the origin and insertion, and create his own application for specific patients. A lot of these problems are so, the patient exhibits such pain that a direct or very invasive approach, or even a manual approach, is just too much for him to tolerate. And if you can use the PulStar, the beauty of it is you can vary the amount of force from very, very light forces to heavier forces. When we're working with soft tissues, it's limited at 20 pounds in terms of the higher frequencies. The light force makes it very tolerable. And I have some patients who are extremely sensitive, and I have to dial everything back down for them. And one of the beautiful things about the PulStar is a lot of times you can just preset those forces for that specific patient, so that when they come in, boom, you don't have to remember, oh yeah, that's I better turn it down for this one.
As a treating chiropractor, one of the things that I find most helpful for me with the PulStar instrument is the infinite ways that I can put it to use. The ability for the instrument to be used on different types of tissue, not just osseous adjustments. The ability for me to set the instrument for different patient profiles, anywhere from an 80-year-old woman with really poor bone density and no muscle mass at all the way up to an Olympic athlete. This is something that's just not found out there in the marketplace at this point, and it's a point of why a PulStar instrument should be something that you consider right away for your practice. PulStar integration, bringing your PulStar into your practice, changing over from perhaps a manual adjusting practice to an instrument adjusting practice, is the easiest thing in the world. We've done this with our practice. Many others have done it. The patients prefer this. You'll find that from visit to visit, every patient is like, I'm just amazed by this. I can't wait to tell my family about this. I can't wait to tell my coworkers about this, because the results are stellar. The ability to get a result is quick. It's very straightforward. It's simple. You'll find that your practice will be revolutionized by using instrument adjusting.
The PulStar can actually be integrated with your practice management software. For example, one of the features that you can use is your front desk person can actually print the patient's scans and give them to them after their visit.
The current version of the PulStar G3 system, is available in 3 different variants. The full suite gives you everything that you would need to get to put into your office to be able to analyze and treat standing, seated with the full system, and then also with your existing tables prone. With the Tech Suite, if you just want to add the system to an existing practice where you've got the table set up and you want to work in just basically the prone position, you can start with that system to get up and running. So you've got a desktop computer with the PulStar system that you would add to your tables. And then with the mobile suite, if you'd like to not only have a system in the office, but perhaps take it out to health screenings or other locations or multiple offices, then the mobile suite really will work best for you, because it comes with a smaller MacBook Pro 13-inch, and it also has a case that's custom fit for the PulStar and the computer that's very mobile. So you can just take that with you, take it wherever you need to, and get up and running right there. For those doctors that have just recently graduated and maybe have a smaller budget but would like to get into the technology of instrument analysis and adjusting, or computerized analysis and adjusting, we have introduced the new PulStar G3 Entry Suite. It is a much more pared down version of the system. It doesn't have quite the same capabilities of the full PulStar G3 suite, but it allows those doctors to get in at an affordable level with computerized instrumentation, and then when they're ready, upgrade to the larger PulStar G3 systems. All of the PulStar systems come with a computer that is pre-configured so that when you get it out of the box, everything is up and running right away. The PulStar box, which is the brains of the PulStar, where it calculates the information that it receives from the impulse head. And the impulse head itself is used by the doctor as the handheld device to do both the analysis and the treatment. As well as the impulse head, you've got 5 different attachments that come with the system, 3 dual prongs of different sizes, and 2 single prongs, one with a softer white tip. So if you want to do upper cervical work or even TMJ work with the patient, you can use that as well.
There are many technologies out there in the marketplace. When you're looking at the PulStar, you're looking at it because you'd like to own something. The reality is you actually do when you buy a PulStar. At no point will PulStar shut down your instrument. At no point will you be required to access any type of special key codes to keep it running. And at some point in the future, if you choose to sell your practice or just sell the instrument, it is yours to sell. There is no liability on the part of the new doctor to do anything else other than access your instrument. All the marketing materials are part of the package. You have access to the logos, to the material that represents the PulStar. This is all yours for the taking. The great thing too is for the first year of ownership, all software upgrades are at no charge. And beyond that, all you have to do is simply attend a PulStar seminar to get up to date on what's new, and whatever software upgrades are available at that time, they're yours for the keeping and for the taking.
When doctors are interested in implementing the PulStar instrument, what they're mostly looking at is how effective the analysis is, how much of improvement in treatment and patient care we can get, and also how much easier it makes for patient education. The PulStar instrument has all of that and more.
So the PulStar allows the patient to see exactly what's happening before and after the visit. It allows them to have a very gentle, non-invasive treatment that doesn't involve turning, cracking, and popping. It allows the doctor to be able to see exactly what is happening with their patient long-term through all the different visits and all the data that they can look through. It also allows the doctor to work longer and not have as much fatigue or pain issues that they might have from the manual adjusting. It also gives them better information, which then gives the patient more confidence in their doctor, because the more information the doctor has, the more information they can use to really treat and change their care plan to fit their patient the best and really get the best results for that patient. All the different information on different positioning with the PulStar allows you to treat patients in all sorts of different ways. So if they start to plateau in a prone position, we can start moving them into other positions to really accentuate their care and get them into that wellness phase and make sure that we do the best that we can for those patients. A great first step is to get involved and give us a call to set up your online demonstration. What we can do is actually walk you through all the features that we've discussed here, and we can really work with you to see how the PulStar will best fit you and your practice. We'll ask you specific questions about your practice. You can ask us anything that you want about the PulStar, and if we can, we'll be able to show you that right over the screen, and you'll be able to work directly with us. If you're really ready to take the plunge, we've even got a trial offer so that you can try the PulStar in your office. So give us a call and we can get things rolling for you right away.